is the direction it's going to pull. So flip your piece back and forth as you move from weld to weld so that it pulls evenly. Notice how the tip of my tungsten stays directly over the weld seam. It's not a wide weave from left to right. The cup is just rotating around that point. This is how you get the most penetration out of any given amperage. If you look closely, you can see a small whirlwind whipping around in the tip of my puddle. This is a sign you're getting good penetration. Watch here as I arc up, sit still for a few seconds, wait for that swirling to start, and then I take off walking. Nearly everyone in the field walks the cup. Despite a few angry people that don't know how to, telling you otherwise, it is the easiest way to get the most consistent bead. With that being said, you do need to learn how to freehand weld also, because sometimes you get into a jam and there's just not enough room to walk the cup. Here you can see just how much I overlap my starts and stops to avoid thin spots and skippers on the inside. You can also see that the weld is a nice shade of gold, and that's what you're looking for. The edges are a little dark on this one. Darkness on the inside of a weld can happen for several reasons. Not letting it purge long enough, or not having a good seal on your purge. Also, welding too cold can cause problems. It takes that much longer to get good penetration, and by the time you get to the end of your weld, you've cooked it. Welding too hot and not having enough gas coverage could also be reasons the inside of your weld is too dark. Most of the time you'll be running lift arc, so you need to know how to properly terminate your weld. If you pull your torch away from the puddle suddenly, it's going to oxidize, leaving a crater and a pinhole. That's why we feather it out gradually. It's called a tail off. You're going to move faster and faster, pulling your tungsten away from the tubing. As your puddle gets smaller and eventually disappears, that's when it's okay to rip your torch off. This is no tail off, and this is a good tail off. So there you have it, the finished weld. Flush on the outside, smooth and colorless on the inside. Depending on the customer or what product is running through the pipes, it may or may not get passivated. As the welder, you need to at least clean the color off the outside of the tubing. I usually buff the color off with a 3M radial bristle brush, then blend it in with a piece of Scotch